For the past few months, I have been in a slump. I've been struggling with work annoyances, family issues, being sick for weeks, burning out with pole, you name it. And lately I've been wondering, is this because of the world being an absolute dumpster fire? Because I'm already an anxious person and each little setback stacks on top of the others? Or am I simply just out of tune? If I had to describe the current sound of myself, it would sound like this. That's a low vibration. I've heard once or twice about the idea of raising your vibration and how that helps improve your life, bring about inner peace, etc., etc. But what does that mean? Is it legit? And how do you do it? Today's April 7th. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to spend a week attempting to raise my vibration to see if I can de-slump myself and turn my to... It's April 8th. I'm waking up, making my bed, and asking, what does a high vibration mean? I found several articles about the subject. One, from Sustainable Bliss, says, you likely learned in school that everything, including humans, is made of atoms. Well, quantum physics allows us to take this a little further. Essentially, if you go into the inner workings of an atom, quantum physics explains that there's nothing there except energy waves. Atoms continually give off and absorb light and energy, each with its own distinct frequency or vibration. When something vibrates at a lower frequency, it feels heavy, whereas things vibrating with a higher frequency feel lighter, more at ease, physically and emotionally. An article from Dr. Asha Prasad puts it like this. Vibration is a frequency, just like radio waves. The higher and faster our frequency is, the more happy and content we tend to feel. When we feel sad, depressed, angry, or anxious, our frequency is low and dense. When your energy is up and you are in a high vibrational state, you tend to attract more positive people and situations. Good things just seem to come your way. A Healthline article states, these vibrations generate electromagnetic energy waves. Researchers have found that vibrations and the electromagnetic energy associated with them cause changes in your cells, which can then affect how your body functions. And other articles focus on the shortened version of the word vibes, as in when you can tell the vibes are wrong in a room, or you can read someone's vibe before talking to them. So it seems like vibration raising toes the line between quantum physics and good vibes only. The bed is made, and I'm writing. Specifically, I'm writing down affirmations, also known as intentions, also known as those cheesy lines you hear in self-help tapes like, I am a strong, powerful woman. But you know what? I am. I'm also listing 5 things I'm grateful for because almost every article mentions gratitude as a huge way to raise your vibration. Is already having created myself a template for the next 7 days a little more type A than I think the article's intended for me to be? Perhaps, but having the prompts pre-written and waiting for me will hold me accountable. Look at the moon! The articles tell you to get outside, so after admiring the moon shining in the early morning light, my dad and I took off towards the park. And then I attempted to plant some sprouted onions we had in our pantry. As I edit this video a week later, the onions have passed away. Sorry. And then I ate Taco Bell. And this is a big no-no, according to the articles. You're not supposed to eat highly processed foods, and Taco Bell is the high process. You're also not supposed to drink alcohol, which I didn't do this week, so good for me. But remember the food thing.
Well, just getting out of this Easter Saturday service thing, and it was like a block party, and I showed up and I just started eating like chips and popcorn and this popsicle thing I didn't even really want. And part of this raising your vibration thing is like eating not processed foods and healthy things, so then I feel extremely guilty for eating all that. Have basically been in an anxiety spiral since I got here, which again, I'm like, is that my fault because my vibration is low and I would not be in an anxiety spiral if I brought up my vibration? We'll see if this clip makes it into this video, which is supposed to be kind of cute and peaceful, but I guess this is why I need to raise my silly little vibrations.
After that, I thought I'd try putting in my headphones and listening to binaural beats, which have actually been recommended to me for a literal decade now as a way to help my anxiety. This isn't plugged into anything. I'm filming with my phone right now. I'll play you a sample while I talk here. Basically, they're an auditory illusion. You listen with headphones, and one ear plays a tone slightly higher than the other, and your brain supplies the notes in between. It's supposed to help your brain focus on something other than, the anxiety screaming, the screaming anxiety, but some folks just use it as a general meditation tool. I stopped listening after a few minutes to take a lovely warm shower, just get into bed, and try to feel better tomorrow. In my family, sometimes we call these overwhelming feelings sitting in the corner and eating worms. So as I tucked myself in, I thought of something my dad said. Some days you eat worms, and then the next day you're on top. It's April 9th. Making the bed, opening the curtains to let in the light. Today, I'm going to do two things differently. First of all, forget about the food stuff. It's obvious to me that was not good for my brain. I already eat pretty darn well, and I listen to my body. Eating some Taco Bell might not raise my vibration, but beating myself up for it sure as hell isn't. So I'm going to ignore any nutrition-based vibes advice. Secondly, I'm going to save my gratitude list for right before I go to sleep so it's fresh in my mind. I had pretty bad nightmares last night, but maybe if I list things I'm thankful for before bed, my brain won't dwell on the bad things as much. The guides all emphasize movement as an excellent way to raise your vibration, so I took to Planet Fitness for an upper body training session, and yep, I love working out at a gym. It makes me so happy to exercise around other people who are also all exercising, like we're all witnessing each other be human for a while. I definitely feel lighter after a hard workout, not weight-wise, but I guess vibration-wise. Aromatherapy is also said to raise your vibration. I don't have any fancy oils, but I do have a rosemary plant, so I broke off a sprig and sniffed it, and that was lovely. Here, you smell. In the evening, I busted out my bass to play some tunes. None of the guides specifically mention playing instruments other than something like a sound bowl or a chime for meditation, but I'm literally creating vibrations by strumming the bass, so that feels like it should affect my personal vibration, no? Finally, I made myself a playlist of some of those binaural beats, stuck my headphones in, and laid down on the floor with my posture pillow below my neck, because there's no reason I can't raise two vibes with one crystal. Again, filming with my phone. As I settled in to write my list of gratitudes, I actually felt super peaceful and calm, a far cry from yesterday's mania. Am I actually doing this right? April 10th, another morning walk, and this time I'm picking up trash in the park. I used to do this way more often, but then I slipped into this funk. The guides all say that doing something generous will bring that vibration up, so here I am. Although I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to brag about doing something generous.
I'm a good person, get it straight, and when I say good, I really mean great. The best, #humble and blessed.
I trained my legs at Planet Fitness this morning, and it wasn't quite as high vibe. Do I say things like that now? Because the TVs were showing some pretty upsetting news stories. Can you vibrate high and be focused on what's going on in the world, or do you have to shield yourself with ignorance in order to truly feel your best? Protein powder for thought. Because I am nothing more than a slightly more complicated houseplant, I find myself feeling my best when I can get about 10 minutes of sunshine straight on my bare skin each day, so here I am lounging in my undies on a pool towel, soaking it up. I do wear a big sun hat to protect my face. Pause. The articles don't explicitly say to avoid social media. In fact, one of them encourages you to ask yourself if social media brings you enjoyment or distress and then act accordingly, but I know I personally feel so much worse after a social media binge, because I can't just post something and then leave it alone. I have to check it every 30 seconds to see if anyone has liked it or commented on it, and then YouTube will helpfully tell me if my metrics are down in real time, which is even worse. So I personally am doing a social media cleanse as part of this project. To give myself something else to do, I visited the library and grabbed 10 new books to read, and then I started a tarot-themed puzzle. I haven't done a puzzle in so long. Man, no wonder my vibes are off. Good morning. I have lived to vibe another day. A lot of the articles mentioned creating something as a way to raise your vibration. Creating my YouTube videos truly feels like the only thing I have going for me sometimes, but I've also been getting caught in the trap of obsessing over the analytics. So today I filmed a goofy little video in which I asked my subscribers for weird poll prompts, and I actually had a lot of fun. The more woo-woo-y articles also mention interacting with crystals, specifically ones like rose quartz and amethyst, and wouldn't you know it, I have those right here. I was a bit of a crystal aficionado back in my day, and I still think they're beautiful. I'm just not sure they can do everything for you that people say they can. Nevertheless, I set them on the table in a place of honor by my Guava LaCroix to give me their vibes while I worked on my puzzle. I ended the evening with a glass of kombucha, because if I'm going woo-woo, I want to go full woo-woo and sip on some probiotics, baby. April 12th, another bright, beautiful morning, another sweep through the neighborhood for trash. I haven't felt like filming myself that much today, but I can tell I'm in a good headspace because I actually put on some jewelry and pulled my hair into a slightly more complicated ponytail. Some days, the effort of getting ready for a day of nothing really feels like too much. That doesn't mean I'm immune to blahs. I also laid in bed and stared at nothing for a while. It's April 13th, so I guess that was all I filmed yesterday. Here's a soothing shot of steam rising from my morning coffee in the cool backyard. I will admit, the further I get into this project, the less I feel like filming myself, partly because I'm doing similar things each day, so it's not that interesting to look at, but also because I feel like raising my vibration might be one of those things that is best done on my own or without a camera involved. I don't know. I'm not feeling great today. I slept poorly and I'm anxious. Am I anxious because I haven't done enough to raise my vibration, or because I have anxiety? How far can you get with mental health by doing things like raising your vibration? Will you eventually hit a wall of brain chemistry that can't be overcome? I want to go onto YouTube so I can upload the video that I've been working on. And I just want it to be ready to launch when I'm done with this week. But then that requires going onto YouTube, and I feel like you guys are gonna be thinking, oh, she can't even go a whole week without going on social media? I don't know, getting myself stuck in this thing where I'm thinking raising your vibration means you have to be perfect and you can't go on social media for fear that it's going to lower your vibration, but thinking that it will already kind of sets you up for failure. I don't know. Like I said, kind of anxious brain today. Too many thoughts. Bye. I'm doing it. I'm on YouTube. Yep. Looking at my analytics makes me feel bad. Vibration lowered. I can still turn this around. I have this lovely Tahitian gardenia perfume. It's not quite aromatherapy, but I'm gonna put some on my wrists and pretend it is. Here, you smell. As I laid in the sun, my brain babbled with questions. Is raising your vibration the same as living your best life, the same as listening to your gut, the same as just generally being healthy and feeling good because of that? I think I'm struggling because I'm viewing this project as a sort of rule book and a cure at the same time. I can't go on social media. I can't eat this Taco Bell. Otherwise, I'll have failed and my vibration will be zero. But what I'm learning is that these are just guidelines to help me feel my best so that I can be that vibey self. Okay, I just finished editing the subtitles and I'm going to make this a video live. Public. Done. Save. So normally at this point, it's been up for 2 seconds, and I would be going here to my channel dashboard and looking at these stats here. Oh my gosh, it's got 0 views. Nobody cares about it. Oh my gosh, nobody's clicking on it. Oh my gosh, people aren't watching the whole thing. But because I'm trying to establish healthier vibration raising habits, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to babysit the video. It's out. You can watch it if you want to, or don't. But that's none of my business.
And you know it's gonna be so hard to not click on it, but
Not checking on the video actually felt very freeing. Instead, I mixed up some vegetables for dinner, then filmed another funny, creative video. I did allow myself to watch some YouTube and nestled into my cozy bed with my cozy little twinkle lights and my favorite farming sim videos playing, and I felt very at peace. April 14th, the last day of the project. That feels bittersweet. Speaking of those flavors, I'm helping my neighbor with an early garage sale, and she gave me a pastry to eat with my coffee. Ah, bliss. I was non-anxious enough to hit the gym, struggle to set up my camera, and film myself barely in the shot doing some lat pull-downs. Yep. Movement feels good. You can rest assured that I will not be abandoning my gym sessions after I've stopped purposefully trying to raise my vibration. I just like it too much in these hallowed purple Planet Fitness halls. After letting it sit for 24 hours, I checked once on my video and then immediately closed my laptop. Whoa, I can do that? I am vibrating loud today. And then, can you guess what happened? I got some excellent job news that I've been waiting on for months. Right at the tail end of my project where I'm becoming vibier, which helps attract good things. Perhaps it's a coincidence, but it brought me enough joy that I put in my headphones, grabbed a limoncello LaCroix, and danced around the sunny backyard. Still not plugged into anything. I'm just happy. My dad and I took one last evening walk. For the project not like of our lives. I stopped to admire the sunset, an absolutely bursting bottle brush bush, a tree caught in the golden light. I felt grateful and, for once, calm. I know I could wake up tomorrow feeling just as anxious as that first day, but this project has handed me a few more tools to help me fight that feeling. Brief intermission for a neighborhood cat.
Hello. Oh, you like the camera. That's what you were waiting for. Okay, you're so cute.
As I settled in to write my last gratitude list, I thought, perhaps this was all some woo-woo stuff. A crystal or a sound wave will never cure me, but just for this moment, I definitely feel more than, and I'm happy to be back in tune. The subscribe button appears on the right. A suggested video and playlist appear on the left.